Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to New Life Live. Zach Matchett here, filling in for Steve Arterburn, and excited to be with you today for 2 hours. We're taking your calls today. 1-800-229-3000 is the number, and I'm excited to be joined by Becky Brown. Hi, Becky.
Hi, Zach.
Joining us from the remote location, as always. And then we also have Dr. Alice Benton. Hi, Alice.
Howdy, folks.
Good to see both of you. I can assure you that if you call in today, again, 1-800-229-3000, you will get expertise from Becky and Alice and maybe some mediocrity from me, but I will do my best. And I'm playing a bit behind today. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, I have a sling on my arm. I just had shoulder surgery. I had my rotator cuff and my labrum repaired on Thursday of last week. And actually, the week before that, my wife and I did an anniversary trip without our kids. It's our first time being away from them for a whole week. It was wonderful, and really just had a chance to recharge just our friendship and our marriage, and it was wonderful. But I went from paradise to under the knife. Literally, our flight got delayed by 5 hours, so we got back into Indianapolis. Got back in Indianapolis at like 4 a.m. Like people were arriving for the 6 a.m. flight departure for their flight. I'm like, this should not be happening at the airport. We're getting here when people are coming in for the early flight. But we got home finally, and my surgery was like at 8 o'clock. Like I had to be there at 8 that morning. So just a couple of hours sleep. All I have to say that when you go through something that's physically limiting, so I'm in a sling for the next 4 to 5 weeks, it reveals actually your physical condition will reveal things that are already in you spiritually and emotionally that you're not aware of. For instance, like, why can't I do these simple things anymore? Like, it's easy to say, well, I'm in a sling, but you still try to convince yourself, I don't need any help. I'll figure it out. I'll be fine. You know, even the simplest of things are now a challenge for me. And my kids are saying, like, Daddy, what do you need help with? And can you do that? And it's just like, I'm fine. Stop bothering me. But I thought it was interesting that I'm finding myself, like, just because of one, somewhat easy recovery in terms of in length of time is not easy, but the recovery and therapy and all that's going to be, manageable. How it still reveals these things within me that's just like, oh, didn't realize that was as bad as I thought it was. I didn't think I was a person that would not ask for help, but maybe speak to that, how our physical condition can often, frankly, reveal or remind us of things that maybe are beneath the surface that come out when there's physical limitation.
Well, we certainly have a culture that can promote either extreme of pride and self-sufficiency or being overly dependent on other people. And when we're limited, it reveals which side of the extreme we fall to. And God calls us to an interdependence. He wants us to try to meet our needs the best we can on our own, but he also wants us to seek him and his grace and his help, and he tells us to have a community of people around us because we need to be able to carry each other's burdens, and that's part of the Christian calling, and we don't tend to do it very well. Either we offload too many burdens on other people, or we're unwilling to let someone else carry the burden for us, and an injury like yours, a surgery like yours, it does push us to make some tough decisions. Are we going to let people in? Have we even established safe relationships? Are there people around us that we can let in?
Yeah.
Well, and do you know what else it reveals, Zach? We all have control issues.
That's somebody else, Becky. That's not me. That'll probably be somebody that calls in, not me. I'm just kidding.
Listen, we all do. And it just reveals that when we are tied up, literally. I mean, you just had the late arrival. Well, actually, you were right on time to get ready for surgery. But
I was.
We all have to deal with that little God inside of us that wants to have control over every part of our life. And it's a great opportunity for you to find that serenity, Zach. I'm just saying.
Thank you for this free session. I'll be sure I invoice you $1 about 0.00. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's true. It's just a little thing, but it's a reminder that don't take anything for granted and show gratitude and show contentment. But as I be hanging out with you over the next month or so and you watch me on YouTube, I will have this handy dandy sling, but hopefully the recovery will go well. We're taking your calls today, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back.
My husband was involved with a pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. he stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 11th through the 13th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Thanks again for hanging out with us today on New Life Live. Zach Matchett here, filling in for Steve Arterburn. Becky Brown and Dr. Alice Benton are with me, and you just heard that quick commercial there about the Restore Workshop that's coming up on November 11th, and this is another great next step for you. For those of you that would love more information about that, you can go to newlife.com. One person that attended Restore recently said, "This workshop helped me see that I am not the problem, that my husband's choices are not my fault. I am not all of the horrible things I think of myself." That's powerful stuff. Becky, you want to throw anything in there just to maybe make an appeal about this Restore Workshop?
You know, one of the biggest challenges that we have in getting women to go to the workshop is because they think it's his problem. Why do I need help? Yet you suffer in silence. You suffer in the shame that belongs to him, but somehow it attaches itself to you. And what you find when you go to the workshop is you find a community of women who have been there, done that. You start to see you're not alone, but you also have the positive side of a future, whether you stay with your husband and he does the work or not, that you can be healed and whole and move forward. And we'll give you great tools. Stacy and Laura are great speakers, and you'll have great New Life counselors that'll work in the breakout groups. But I just can't encourage you enough. If this is part of your story, make a decision and come and join us at the Restore Workshop. It will make all the difference in your life.
Yeah, and even if you're just interested, just go to newlife.com, just look into it a bit. It really could be the best next step for you, especially if you find yourself at the crossroads, as you talked about, Becky, of whether or not to stay or to leave, and recognizing how this is affecting you and not just pawning off the responsibility necessarily on the other person. That's really, really good. I want to get to our first call today. Again, we're taking your calls for 2 hours today. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. So please give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We're going to go to Patricia first. Patricia is listening to us in Michigan on WSNL. Hi, Patricia. Welcome to New Life Live. How can we help you today?
Hi. My problem is dealing with passivity.
Patricia, we're not hearing you well. Can you make any adjustment to give us a clearer?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not better yet.
Are you on speakerphone or are you holding a landline phone?
I'm on a speakerphone. Let me change.
Okay.
What happened. Sorry about that. Is this one better?
That's better. Thank you, Patricia. What can we do to help you today?
Okay. My problem is dealing with passivity. My recent problem that really set me off, I had a contractor come in and do some work for me. He did not do anything I asked him to do, and he expected to be paid for it. And when I started talking about it, I said, please look at it from my point of view. You did not deal with any of my issues, but he showed no empathy. He just wanted the check. I did get brave enough to put a stop payment on the check. So this is an ongoing process. But my problem is I'm so sick of dealing with passivity within myself. And I know the Bible says give your burden to the Lord. I try, but I'm waking up at night because of anxiety. I'm waking up through the night thinking about this.
Yeah. Was there an experience in your life where you felt like you needed to be passive rather than more direct? Is there maybe maybe you tried it being direct and it didn't work out well, that may be leading to more of this passivity?
In our family, we were brought up, children are to be seen and not heard.
Okay.
So it's kind of instilled in us to be that way, so that's something I have to work at. I have spoken up for myself on different occasions, but I felt a little intimidated by this person, and I'm still feeling a bit intimidated, but I'm going to try to move forward in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thanks for your vulnerability and sharing that. Becky, a lot of us, when conflict arises, that's the whole fight or flight or, avoid or confront and all these different options that we have. What would you share to encourage Patricia in terms of some next steps?
Well, I want to ask Patricia, who do you have in your corner, so to speak? Like, who is somebody that helps you just get through life? Girlfriend, family member, husband, whatever. Like, is there anybody in your life that's like that?
My mom, my daughter-in-law, and my brother.
Okay, great. It's so important to have people around us. I also think that it's very it's so frustrating to ask for something that you need, to actually, want to pay somebody to do a service and then to be overlooked. So some of your feelings are right. They're right on. It makes sense that you would feel this. And I think it's not also, it may make sense to put a stop payment on the check. I think what maybe a next step would be is to outline maybe on a piece of paper, make a document of what your expectations were or what you agreed upon for the services were. So that, because eventually he's going to come back asking for that money. But just to know that it's going to feel uncomfortable, but just because it feels uncomfortable doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. And I think that's where the stretching kind of comes in.
Yeah, Alice, anything you want to add?
I did do that. Matter of fact, I sat down with my daughter-in-law, and we actually wrote up a letter and everything to send to the company that this guy works for and what happened. We did take that step and do that.
Great.
That's good.
Great.
That's good. Alice, anything you want to add here with Patricia?
Patricia, I hear that you have that concern that this is a pattern of yours. So it's arising with the contractor, but you do this with people in your life. And girl, I want you to know you're not alone. I am a people-pleasing conflict avoider myself. I'm in recovery. But my nature is also to avoid upsetting anybody, avoid pushing back against anybody, especially strong personalities. And that's where I want to go with you. This contractor has a strong personality. Who does he remind you of? Somebody else in your life that also had a strong personality?
I don't want to say. My father. And when my father would come home from work, we had to be quiet. We couldn't express ourselves. We could. You just had to do what I say, and that was it. And I remember my teenager years, I was so angry because I felt like you should be able to express yourself, especially when you're not being mean. You shouldn't just have to listen to an adult or somebody in authority to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was hard. And another incident happened where someone did a job for me, and when they got through with the job, it went up by $200. And he said, no, this is the amount that I told you. And I knew what he told me, but he was gaslighting me. And I knew what he had said, but I still gave him the extra money.
Yeah. Well, in that moment, Patricia, when you talk with the contractor, in some ways you are talking back to your dad, because that's the memory that is maybe prohibiting you from taking that initial step. Alice, sorry to cut you off. You're going to keep going.
Patricia, are you married currently, and would you tell us what your relationship is like with your husband or ex-husband?
No, I'm single, yes.
And are you divorced?
No, I'm not divorced.
And your daughter-in-law is...
I had my son out of wedlock.
Okay.
But because of the mistake I made, I encouraged my son to get married.
Yeah.
When you brought up your dad as the strong personality, I thought I heard tears in your voice for just a moment. And although you said, I don't want to... Go ahead. Go ahead, Patricia.
It's a bit emotional.
Yes. And those emotions tell me that there are stories that you hold in your heart and mind and in your body that need to be told, that need to be recognized and acknowledged, that anger that you had as a teenager and the fear that you have today, it's all evidence that there's some unfinished business in your heart and soul and mind. And your body is kind of crying out to you, pay attention to me. You're not sleeping well. You're feeling fearful of having these conversations. And if you haven't yet entered into a therapeutic relationship, it is an ideal, safe place to receive comfort and acceptance. And that's a launching pad. When we receive the comfort and we get fueled up by being loved and safe with another person who starts to know our stories, that's when our voice develops more strength and we can start practicing confronting evil, confronting difficulty, and having tough conversations. You're already doing some of that because you receive comfort from your daughter-in-law and she's understanding of you. And diving a little deeper with a therapist would help you overcome even more of your fear.
Yeah, and I can assure you, Patricia, that, obviously when people call on the show, there's lots of people listening. I can assure you, you are not the only passive conflict avoider among us. There are plenty of us listening today that resonate with your experience of, I would just rather pay the extra money and not have to deal with having to talk myself out of this situation than having to kind of be clear, direct, to confront, to stand up for yourself, whatever the case may be. And I find too, when I'm in a conflict, details are our friend. Clarity is a friend. And so, just sharing, no, this is how you made me feel. When you said this, it made me feel this way. In this situation with the contractor, no, when we talked on such and such a time, this was the agreed amount. This was the amount that was agreed upon. These were the tasks that I had asked you to do, and rehashing that. Now, again, it may not necessarily move into any sort of repair in terms of that person then owning up and changing that, but you can at least have the integrity and the assurance that you've done everything you can to voice what you feel to be truthful. But for so many of us, that we hesitate to do that, maybe because we lack the confidence, maybe because we tried it before and we got burned or it didn't work. And so what's the point of trying again? And so I guess maybe I would ask like this, Patricia, when you get into those situations, do you find yourself just kind of accommodating whatever the person wants, or do you get angry, wishing you would have said something, in the moment?
I get nervous. I get nervous for, if I say no, what are they going to do to me? That's how I start feeling.
Yeah.
If I stand up for myself, or if I don't do what they want me to do, what are they going to do to me?
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'll speak to that.
So,
Patricia,
sorry, Becky, go ahead.
Go ahead, Becky.
Well, I was just going to say, what you're talking about, Zach, is that when we recognize we have this kind of routine or habit of reaction or response, it is an opportunity for us to change that. And so, clear is kind. So, that you've had this experience with some contractors. So the next time you enter into some sort of work with a contractor of any kind, it can appear as though the person is very nice and helpful, but it would be really important for you to write it down with that person and agree upon it. And it sounds like such a simple step, but what happens a lot of times when we're passive is we assume that everybody is going to do what they say they're going to do, and that they're going to hear us. And what we find out in the end is that that's not true, unfortunately. But that's why leases are good, and that's why contracts are good. And, you have those difficult, uncomfortable conversations on the front end so that you're not having to feel this disappointment, and you still have to deal with it, even at this stage. But I think it's a good place to practice, though, Patricia.
Yeah.
There were 3 aspects to my recovery process that I also want to share with you. I had to start having angry conversations in the privacy of a therapy session to an empty chair. And Patricia, for me, it was my mom. I was very angry at her and I didn't even know it. And as I practiced trying to address that with both grace and truth, but be honest and upfront about my anger, I garnered courage by doing it first in the therapy office, and eventually I was able to have those conversations with my mom. I also had to practice in a group setting where I shared opinions that might displease the group, and I needed to experience that they accepted me anyhow, even though I had a contrary opinion about things. And lastly, medication, an antidepressant, but to treat my anxiety, helped immensely to just tone down my anxiety enough that would allow me to garner more courage as well with the skills I was learning to go into those difficult conversations.
Patricia, thanks for calling. And I wasn't being silly earlier. There's plenty of people that are in your situation and feel as though they can't stand up for themselves. They can't voice what they're really feeling. They're nervous to do so, as you said. I want to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back. I think it's going to be a helpful resource for you as you start to kind of put these building blocks in place to maybe refine your voice, so to speak, of sharing how you really feel and maybe to overcome some of those nerves. And I would encourage you, too, to think about getting into some sort of a support group, some sort of a recovery group, whether that's a small group through a church, a recovery group through a local ministry. We can get you some help if you go to newlife.com. Again, don't do these things in isolation. Try to find some community around you that can really help lean into this with you. I think that would be super, super helpful to you. We're taking your calls for today for 2 hours, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be right back.
We knew our marriage was broken, but we didn't know how to fix it.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, October 21st to the 23rd.
It has transformed our lives, our marriage. You have reached our home. You have helped transform our lives.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
Thank you for giving us a pathway where we can humble ourselves and say, Lord, we need help. Help us fix it. And we thank you for that.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE for more information. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Thanks again for joining us today on New Life Live. Zach Matchett here with Dr. Alice Benton and Becky Brown. And we were just chatting with Patricia earlier. And we had talked about just the importance of getting into some sort of a support group or recovery group. No matter what the situation is, we really push for people that, just all of us, we were made for relationships. We were made for community. We were made not to do life alone. And we all have struggles. They might be struggles with addictions. It might be struggles with food, depression, mental health, trauma from a past circumstance, hard relationships or broken relationships. And one of the things that New Life does is we really want to help people find that group, find a sense of safety to be able to share some of the hardest things that they are going through. And one of the ways we do that is through life recovery groups. And so if you just want to learn more about those groups, you can read some articles. If you go to liferecoverygroups.com, you can find out more information, or just call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE and speak to somebody about life recovery. But as the veterans of the trio here, Alice and Becky, I want to let you guys speak to just how you have counseled and encouraged people to, yes, get into counseling. That's great. Yes, voice your concerns. Yes, talk about what happened. But just pushing people into now let's get you into some sort of collective and not just individual thing. How have you seen that be effective? And how have you pushed people towards that?
I think there are two aspects to think about here. And one is that most of us only look for help when we are beyond the point when we're already overwhelmed and we're desperate. And life works a whole lot better when we take a proactive approach. And so I encourage anybody to seek out that group support now before the next difficulty, before the next traumatic event occurs, because the Bible promises this life will be difficult. We will struggle. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed to get help. And group is such a good way to even just get a taste of what that therapeutic process is like. If you are intimidated by individual therapy, if you're intimidated by the cost of therapy, groups are often free. And it's such a good way to get professional help through that supportive group. And additionally, we really can't fully live out our Christianity unless we're in intimate relationships with at least a small group of people. There are a lot of things the Bible tells us to do that we need relationship in order to be able to do it. Those two factors actually, they kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't yet in group. And those two things motivated me to seek out and stay within a group support.
Yeah. Well said. That passage in Hebrews, too, that talks about spurring one another on towards good deeds in Hebrews 10, like just that idea of, this is what you need to do. You need to be around people to kind of spur one another on. I love that language, to push each other, to go. It's worth it. It's gonna be okay. We're here with you to do the hard work. Becky, anything you want to add?
Yeah, one of the biggest obstacles we hear about life recovery is that people think that recovery is for those people, whatever that means to you. And here's the reality. We all are in need of a savior. And obviously, we believe that Jesus can do that for us, but he also invites us into a process. And our life recovery program, I mean, it's not really a program. It's literally just a process for you to really continue that work that God began in you. And with the community, like Alice was just talking about, it's just a healthy way for you to continue to live life in a free way, not on a freeway, which happens a lot of times with our addictions.
Also true.
But isolation is a breeding ground for sickness. And I know there's a lot of you that are listening today and you think, people are just too people-y for me, and I don't think I could do this, but I want to encourage you, just give us a call. Call Terry, who's our administrator. Have a conversation, and you will be shocked at how much you begin to love the process of life recovery. We have groups all over the globe. We have actually a woman who participates from the Arctic Circle. She participates with a life recovery group.
Wow.
That is a woman committed to her own recovery. And I love that. And I just want to encourage you, whatever your excuse is, you need to work through that, and recovery can be a place that you can do that.
Yeah. Mrs. Claus, thank you for joining our life recovery group.
Exactly.
I'm sure it is challenging. Everybody needs therapy, people. That's good, Becky. I totally agree. I'm being silly, but I just think that you're right. It's for those people. Isn't it interesting that oftentimes the biggest action step that we avoid, or that we think is for other people, is the one that we're often avoiding for ourselves, and the one we actually need to do. Yeah, it's just easy to do. It's the human condition. And so, again, if you want more information, again, liferecoverygroups.com, or just call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and you can speak to somebody about that process of life recovery. We're going to go to our next call here. Paula is listening to us at WFIL in South Philly. Hello, Paula. Welcome to New Life Live. How can we help you today?
Hi, I'm calling because I'm concerned about my great-granddaughter. She's 10 years old. She spends the weekday with us, and most weekends with her mother. Her father's out the picture. On Monday, she went to school and reported that her mother had hit her and cursed at her.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, of course, they got the state involved in it. We had no awareness of that. Anyway, so her mother's gotten mad with her, right, angry with her, and has threatened to tear her up. She had told her that she's going to bring us all her clothes and that she's done with her. And she hasn't talked to her since Monday.
Yeah, and so is your question about what you can do about it?
Right, what can I do to help her? But she's in a lot of pain.
Gosh, that's heavy.
She goes to the window and she looks to see if her clothes are being thrown on the lawn. And she left her a couple years ago, she left her. And she moved to another state, but she did keep in contact with her. She left her with us. And she was well taken care of, but then she hates it. Now she's threatening to leave again.
Wow.
And,
Paula,
we
we're going to go to break here. I want you to stay on the line, though. We're going to go to a break. I want you to stay on the line. We can let you finish because we'd love to chat with you about your great-granddaughter. Again, we'll be right back after this break.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 1-year Bible for men or the 1-year Bible for women. These Bibles combine the best-selling daily Bible reading format with 2-minute daily devotionals written to create a one-of-a-kind devotional Bible that you'll love. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Thanks again for joining us today on New Life Live. We're with you for 2 hours today. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. Again, 1-800-229-3000. Becky Brown, Dr. Alice Benton, and Zach Matchett are here with you. We've got Paula on the line who is calling about her 10-year-old great-granddaughter and just a really challenging situation about the girl's mother. Alice, I know you had at least a couple of follow-up questions for Paula just to kind of get some context about how to move forward and maybe how to offer some help here.
Paula, does your great-granddaughter live with you?
Most of the time, Monday through Friday, because she goes to school in our community, and then some weekends she spends with her mother.
Okay, so her mother does not live with you, but she does sometimes.
No.
And did
every morning? Every morning she would come after she's off work, come and dress her and take her to school, and then in the afternoon we pick her up and keep her.
And was a social worker assigned to the case, or has an investigation opened up because of that CPS report?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it has.
And have you reported the new threats to the social worker?
No, I have not.
What are your thoughts about doing that?
I'm not sure how that will help her daughter. I'm not a person who has a whole lot of trust in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may make it worse for her daughter in the long run. I don't know.
I would both understand, Paula, your hesitation, because the systems are so imperfect and so broken, and it's very hard to put trust in them. These additional threats are more evidence that it was right for someone to make that report, because the mother is mistreating her daughter physically and also verbally and emotionally. And the scars that are left by that kind of ongoing treatment are absolutely detrimental. There's no question about it. It's when we adults hold back and we don't intervene to try to help protect, and you already do. You take care of your great-granddaughter. But I would highly recommend that you prayerfully consider sharing the information with a social worker, because this family desperately needs help and intervention. They need therapists assigned to them. The daughter probably needs to be separated from her own mother for a time. And I'm even curious, would you be willing, Paula, to take your great-granddaughter on full-time, temporarily?
Well, we have because she left a couple of years ago. She decided she went to go to school somewhere else, and she did. And we kept her for 2 years.
Are you willing to do so again?
Yeah, well, we have her most of the time anyway.
Yes, you already do. Is her mother active in addiction that you know of?
No, not at all. Mm-mm. She works very hard, and I know that she loves her. She just doesn't know how to show it, or I don't know. It's just this peculiar ideas that are different from my values. Her values are different from mine. And I know that she was estranged from her mother for a while.
Paula, I have a question.
We are paternal
Paula,
side.
Okay.
Not the maternal side.
Paula,
Okay.
so it's your son's daughter
That's my
that
grandson's child.
your grandson's
It's
child.
my grandson's child.
Okay.
Okay.
And
he is
he's
not in the
incarcerated,
picture. Okay.
He's
Okay.
incarcerated. Mm.
Okay.
But
So
he does
you
call
asked
her
the
and talk to her, but it's not like he's here every day.
question, Paula, how do I help my granddaughter, my great-granddaughter? And one of the things I think that you're doing already is you're providing stability as the best that you can. You are the safe home, and she knows that. What have you seen your great-granddaughter exhibit as far as her fear of her mom or just her emotional affect? What are you seeing?
I know that one time she wanted her cousin to ride with her in a car because she said that her mom was in a bad mood, and if her cousin was there, she wouldn't holler at her. I know she hollered at us, but she said mean things, and you can't take them back to hitting.
Yeah.
But the inside, the damage she does.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw you.
Yeah, there's.
And the girl goes to the window to look out and see if her clothes are on the lawn.
There is so much pain, and what I would suggest that you do with her, Paula, is that you assure her that you are there for her, that you are not going anywhere, that you are sorry that this is happening. I would also encourage you, if you get her a counselor that she can process this with, or maybe the two of you go together. It sounds like mom is in a lot of pain. The fact that she's not in addiction is great. But whatever is inside of her that's causing her this pain to lash out at this child is not going to go away with just hoping it goes away. And what I know for sure is that your 10-year-old great-granddaughter is going to have a response to the pain that's going to be bigger than just the sadness that she feels right now. She needs to have her value reinstated. And so the messages of that she is loved, she is cared for, we're going to do what we can to get you safe. I know that this has been hard. Those kind of things can really be helpful. And then also reiterate with her that she can say whatever she needs to say to you, and we're going to work this out. We're going to figure out a way to help mom, because here's the other thing about abusive situations. She probably, that's the hard part about these situations, is that she doesn't want to get her mom in trouble, and which sounds so backwards, but that happens.
When the social worker came to the house, she said, "Are you going to send my mom to jail?" When she went to the counseling school, she thought the counselor was going to call her mom to tell her stop. She did not realize that the counselor had a legal obligation to report it. Yeah. And so she was really upset, and she apologized to her mother, and she said, text her, she said, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was going to be big," and mom said, "I don't care. I'm not accepting your apology."
Paula, if you have the mother's ear at all, if there's a little bit of trust or relationship there, you don't. I'm still gonna propose this, even though there's hardly any relationship or none at all, because in my experience with Child Protective Services, and I've had to make many calls, and I hate doing it every single time, because although I want the family protected and I want them to get help, I know that the intervention will be disruptive. But there are holy disruptions that do unsettle things, but they bring a bright light to bear on the relationship and on the situation, because the abuse needs to be acknowledged and the child needs to be protected. But CPS, Child Protective Services, looks for two things. They look for the parent's willingness to engage in therapy. And the faster a parent is willing to get into structured help, the less Child Protective Services has to intervene, and the more likely it is that they won't remove a child. They also look for other stable family members like yourself who are willing to temporarily house the child if necessary. And so your relationship with Child Protective Services can help to stabilize things faster. And if anybody has the mother's ear and is willing to encourage her, get therapy now so that you can show Child Protective Services you're getting help, it would be good for her to have that knowledge and that bit of encouragement.
Yeah. Well, I just think that, too. Go ahead, Paula.
Whenever I speak to the mother, she's always extremely polite. She's never sarcastic. She's never nasty. She's never done anything disrespectful at all. But there's never any follow-up. It's like I talk to the wall. She's very, and I've tried to reach out to her because she's been in my life for 10 years. And talk to her about different things, and she would just acknowledge I'm talking, but there was no follow-up. There was nothing.
And Paula, sometimes we have to still take the action step, even if it's not likely that there will be a result. But your willingness to do any of these things shows your granddaughter that she's loved and cared for and protected by someone in her life. It may be that it doesn't result in what we're hoping, but it is still worthwhile to take the action. And thank you for being such a present great-grandmother for your great-granddaughter. You're amazing.
And I wanted to also say the pastoral help could help. Zach, you deal with kids all the time in your ministry. Yeah. And I think a pastor could also be a good voice in this child's ear of her worth and her value. This is a really disrupted family on so many different levels. And Paula, you are great-grandmother of the year, and I know that that's not a job that you wanted. And yet at the same time, God's going to use you to continue to minister to this child. But I do think that if you have a church community, that could also be another avenue that could offer some support.
Well, it could be a stabilizing force too. I mean, there's so many situations where, our goal, I think any local church the primary goal should be to help partner with families of all kinds to help raise their kids. That is the primary responsibility of the family. However, there are certain situations where certain families of origin are just not able to do that for one reason or another. And sometimes the church needs to fill in the gap in some way. It doesn't necessarily need to hijack the responsibility, but there does need to be a support. So, whether it be a local student ministry, a children's ministry of some kind, some sort of a youth program, the power of being in relationship where there's something healthy. There's something, there's a tangible sense of love. There's a tangible sense of belonging. That could be a real stabilizing.
Yeah. Hey, Zach.
Force. Yeah.
Can we send the great granddaughter a copy of Kirby McCook and the Jesus Chronicles?
That'd be amazing. Yes, and I want to send How We Love Our Kids to Paula as well. And again, just from the grandparent side of it too, I just think those resources would be helpful. Yes, that'd be awesome to send the Kirby book. That's a great suggestion. So staying with us, we'll be back for one last segment here on New Life Live, 1-800-229-3000.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 11th through the 13th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
Join New Life Ministries for a brand new one-day conference for women at the Museum of the Bible called Lumina. Join us for an unforgettable day with friends or the women's group from your church. At Lumina, you will be immersed in and surrounded by God's Word all day, including time in the World Stage Theater for worship led by Nicole C. Mullen. A powerful message from Bible teacher Jen Wilkin that will leave you empowered to live into your calling. Plus, a private group tour of the Museum of the Bible. There's nothing like it. This one-day event, Lumina, is happening on Thursday, November 3rd, or Friday, November 4th. Pick the day that works best for you. Gather your friends and get your tickets at newlife.com. Hurry, special pricing ends soon, so visit newlife.com and click on the Lumina banner. Inspire your faith at Lumina, where women rise together. Learn more at newlife.com.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Thanks again for joining us here today on New Life Live. We are hanging out with you for 2 hours. 1-800-229-3000 is the number, so give us a call if you'd like some help with something. Becky, I want to throw it to you just quickly here to talk about a way that those that are listening today can actually partner with us here at New Life to kind of help with some of the life change that we do here through the radio program, but also through a lot of different things as well.
Yeah, we're really excited about our Club New Life gift. Thank you gift. We're going to give you, if you join Club New Life, which is our monthly giving partnership, we're going to give you a 1-year Bible for women or a 1-year Bible for men. And the great thing about these Bibles is that Misty Arterburn did the devotional readings for the women's Bible. Arterburn, you know him, did the devotionals for the 1-year Bible for men. And Club New Life, you can increase your. Are you interrupting me?
Yeah, sorry, Becky. You're cutting out a little bit. I know you were sharing about the 1-year Bible for women and the 1-year Bible for men. Misty Arterburn did the one for women, and then Steve did the one for men. And so, is that book being sent out for anybody that contributes this month?
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. And so, if you join Club New Life, we'll send you a copy of that, and it'll make a difference in your life.
Yes, absolutely.
The great thing about Bible commentaries, too, is that even though you're rereading scripture you're probably familiar with, you get a new insight from the editor of the Bible. And I got some sneak peeks at what Misty Arterburn has in store for us. The woman is a genius, and she points out things in the Bible that I and many others had never even heard of before, hadn't thought of before. So you will get a fresh perspective on the Word.
Yeah, you'll be blessed. Yeah, and again, just any way that you can partner with us here at New Life to make it possible for people to have the access to just resources and helps and next steps and things like this, just 1-year Bible for women and 1-year Bible for men. Again, thanks so much for everything that you do to help us make those things available to people. We really appreciate you guys out there. Ray is going to be our last call listening to us in California on YouTube, actually. And so we're going to go to Ray here. Ray, welcome to New Life Live. How can we help you today?
Hi, thank you. So I have had a 29-year really dysfunctional relationship with food. I became pretty much paralyzingly afraid of obesity when I was little. I was told it was in our family. It was not based on choices. They couldn't help themselves. And so I've been through anorexia, bulimia, all kinds of diets. And for 29 years, it was super obsessive. I punished myself with exercise, punished and rewarded myself with food. So for 3 years, I've been in recovery. I just relapsed after 6 months with no processed foods. And so I kind of have two questions. For those 6 months, which is the longest period of time that I've ever not compulsively overeaten and not had that really obsessive relationship with food, my rule was if it's in a package, if it has a label, then I don't eat it. So like whole foods only. And I didn't eliminate any of the whole foods. But I have kind of looked at what led me back to like making little exceptions to things until I got back where I was obsessed with it. But I'm like, I don't know, like what is the best way when you get into that place where you're dealing with obsessive thoughts about whatever it is. For me it's food.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in today, Ray, and we want to be able to help you. Alice, I'll let you jump in here first, and just this idea of specifically food addiction.
Ray, have you remained in that structured recovery process that you were in as you obtained those 6 months of sobriety from food?
Yes, I've gone to my recovery meetings for 3.5 years now. Every week I have a sponsor. I facilitate step studies. Yeah.
And is the relapse ongoing, or was it temporary and you got back on track?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do now.
Trying to get back on track now.
Yeah.
Well, I want to congratulate you for those 6 months that you had a healthier relationship with food and your self-control increased. And I'm sure you know this, but I'm just going to remind you that relapse is generally a part of the process of recovery. And most of us have to work through several relapses in order to gain long-term sobriety with whatever our addiction is. And it's how we deal with the relapse differently. And we usually see that as we stay in recovery like you are, we come out of the relapse faster. We talk about it faster. We get back on track in a more efficient way as we build up our strength in the recovery process. And there are 3 things that I want you to make sure you continue to pursue, and I think you're doing pretty much all of them. One is we've got to stay in group, ongoing group, and sometimes we have to increase the frequency of our group attendance, making sure that we're actively participating, that we continue to confess as many times as we need to. We also usually need to be in individual therapy because it's not only the symptoms of the way we eat that we have to look at, but the underlying emotions that we're comforting with food. It's a legitimate need that we have, but we're using an illegitimate need of comfort. And then a lot of us need medication to help us with that anxiety. And so the 3 factors should be a part of your ongoing recovery process.
That's great. Becky, anything that you would add just as far as next steps, from specifically about this relapse of trying to get back on track after you've kind of had a setback?
Yeah, one of the things that we talk about in recovery is the concept of dry drunk, or in this case, dry overeating. And so we can put into practice the not doing. And, Ray, you were really faithful in not eating the way that you were before. But what happens, going back to what you just said, Alice, we're practicing that, but we're not accessing those emotions. And so it's interesting because we're not doing the behavior that we want to get rid of. You're not overeating. However, you're not attending to the feelings that is driving you to overeat to begin with. And a lot of times that happens because we're so focused on what we're not doing anymore, can't feel what's underneath there. And that's the tricky part. It's like, how do I do the thing that what is it that Paul says? Why do I do the thing that I don't want to do? And I can't do the thing that I want to do. It's really part of the growth process. But I think that taking those steps, like Alice suggested, I think processing the feelings when you are not able to access them is really going to take some work. But I think that's where you're going to find it. And I love what you just said, Alice, about relapse is part of the process. You're not going to get perfect this side of heaven. You're just going to get better over and over again. And there's hope for that.
Yeah. We have a couple minutes left, but Ray, I wanted to ask just one follow-up here. Are there other circumstances that, outside of, just external circumstances that have kind of driven you back into the eating that maybe have kind of brought this upon you?
So my life situation is better than it's probably ever been. I did some journaling the other day and figured out that I'm keeping a lot of plates spinning, and all the ones that I've kind of dropped are solitude and silence and eating on a regular basis, and all the self-care stuff, sleeping, my sleeping schedule. A lot of the stuff that I know that I should be doing, I wasn't. And I came out of surgery. I had a really, really long recovery from surgery. And as soon as my energy came back, I just kind of went a little hypomanic and started doing everything real busy, real fast. And my counselor thought that maybe maybe my body just exerted a lot more energy than I was feeding it, because I wasn't very hungry because of all the pain and stuff.
Yeah. No, that's helpful. It's just good to think about what things maybe drive us back there, and even just the activity of it, and trying to stay busy and trying to keep the plate spinning. When we feel out of control, like we can't get everything done, I think it's easy for us to turn to the thing that maybe brings us comfort. So I appreciate you sharing all of that. We're going to send you a resource that can help you. Thanks again for joining us on New Life Live today. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.